Hi, my name is Owen Bowles. For our midterm, I decided to go with the topic of how far-reaching the internet really is and how many misconceptions there are when it comes to this topic. Um, Going into this class, I assumed, like I'm sure most people do, that the internet reaches everybody. Being that it's the 21st century and technology is so far advanced, and every country and government so modernized, if I felt that everyone would be able to have some sort of access to it. But I was proven wrong when it came to reading the book. I found out, that there are certain countries, such as sub-Saharan Africa, who's not as modernized as the rest of the world, so they lack the ability to access the internet. Takes them a lot longer for them to hear of major news stories, or if they hear about them at all. Another country that lacks like the social media internet is Southern Asia. They aren't as much. They're modernized, and that's not the reason they lack it. They lack it more so due to the leaders that rule them. The regimes put a limit on the internet and the access that these people can get within the internet. What kind of things they can read, what kind of things they can post. The ability to come together and start revolutions are limited for this reason. And even more so, it kind of gets forgotten. The lower classes economically, they don't have the ability to access the internet, or be on point with everything like I am. I'm very privileged to be able to have my phone, and whenever something big happens, I hear about it immediately. Whenever a big event happens, I know about it right away. I get a notification on my phone. But for some people, they aren't able to have that. They don't have the internet in their house. They don't have the internet on their person all the time. So the only way they could really access it is if they, say, go to a public library, if they have the ability to have a library card and use that sort of internet, or watch the TV if they're fortunate enough to have one of those. And that's the only way they can really get a hold of the news going on. But even so, they still lack the ability to contact others very quickly, the ability to form groups of people, like we talked about this week when it came to Middle Eastern youth, having the ability to come together and start an entire revolution using just social media, when before that was never the case. It was all word of mouth, and now they can kind of galvanize an entire country instead of just small groups here and there with one strong message and one true voice when it comes to this topic. And going back to the people who lack access to the internet, when they talked about how these people weren't as fortunate, it really shocked me when they showed the statistic that 1/4 of these people who are currently offline are illiterate. That sounds like bizarre to me. Something of this time period, it just seems like it would be common knowledge for everybody to be able to write and read, but unfortunately it's not the case. A lot of those people do lack the ability to do those everyday things. Lastly, towards the end of that chapter, they talked about, I called it techno and social life. Basically, how those two, technology and social life, come together, and how, like I mentioned before, we're able to have the ability to talk to others, to find out what's going on right away, and not have to find out months later when it comes in a newspaper that something catastrophic happened over across the world, like a terrorist event or something like that. And how basically technology offline and technology online overlap, really, because it's so ingrained in our society that, you know, everything involves technology, whether it be reading the newspaper to paying bills. All that is just, you know, one, and it's kind of difficult to separate the two and find a true division between the two. Lastly, how before it would be where we had to, you know, tell stories and, you know, describe events that happened in our lives, but now it's became the case with cameras and, you know, technology such as that we don't have to tell stories. We can show them. You know, the person that we're talking to knows exactly what happened, can see exactly what happened, and they're not limited in that aspect.